Welcome all. We have a great race on tap today, the Indianapolis. And if you were able to watch the Xfinity race yesterday, you got to see an attempted murder by Austin Hill, who right-reared Eric Almirola into the wall at, what was it, like 180 miles per hour or whatever. I know it was into a turn, but still, it was some disgusting behavior. And we're not here to talk about Xfinity. We're here to talk about Cup. And I, as always, am joined by Stats, who is in Minnesota sweating out the live golf final for DraftKings. How are you doing, Stats?
I'm doing as well as I can be for considering I've been hanging out with these guys since Thursday. So, there's a lot of drinking involved, a lot of debauchery. So, one more day of this. Hopefully come on with one of the big prizes and then back to the grind. Monday flying back home.
Yeah, back to the grind indeed. We got a very busy Sunday as well. I mean, the F1 race was a late start because of rain. You got baseball here shortly. You got NASCAR. And then you got all the other hodgepodge of sports later on. And this NASCAR race, too, we got a lot of options in it, Stats. So go ahead and let's dive in. We'll try and knock this out in about 30 minutes. So for the viewers watching or whatever, just know that, it might be a little bit quicker, but we're going to try and bang through this content real fast. The main thing, though, I'm going to share my screen here, and we're going to go through the studs. But talk to me what you're looking at for this track. What is the targets? Are you targeting any guys inside, in terms of Dom points? Because we only have 160 laps here on a big track.
Yeah, so you've got, like you said, 160 laps. This is a large track. This is a 2.5 mile track. We've only got a handful of these, not even where they're not the restrictor plate type racing, the Daytona, the Talladega type. So you've got to look at some history here. Look at what the other tracks like Nashville, Pocono, and Charlotte, and like I said, at Nashville. Look at those tracks. That's going to be your best comps here for today. But only 160 laps, which obviously is not all that much. We're not going to have a ton of Dom points. And then to add to that, we didn't really have a lot of practice, and a lot of the big name guys are starting in the back. So I wouldn't really worry too much about Dom. If you like to set your Doms and maybe set like 1 or 2 Doms, I wouldn't even do that today. I would just strictly kind of just play it without doing any grouping for dominators. So this is also a track tends to be really difficult to pass at. And when you get out in the open air, so that whoever is that lead car out in the open air, they're really tough to run down. Also, front row has, even the pole sitter has been very successful as far as I believe just about in all these races here. We're back here. This is like the third year they're back in Indianapolis, which, this should be a bigger event. Like we're at Indy, we're at the, the Brickyard. Like this should be a huge event. And we just don't get we're not getting as much national coverage, I don't think, for this one as maybe this race really deserves. But we've seen the pole sitter really, I think, win all the stage ones. So, and the driver in the 2 position is at a real big disadvantage. So getting that pole is a big advantage as far as getting the points, those Dom points early. So I think that's what we're going to wind up seeing here. You can almost bank on the fact that our pole sitter today, who is Chase Briscoe, will probably win stage 1 and get those Dom points. And what that does is really make the guys who are starting, certainly in the second row. The second row has been notoriously awful. So if you're looking to fade, you could probably just fade those guys in the second row. For the most part here, we're going to be looking for place differential guys, and we've got quite a few of them, both on the high end, and we've got some really good, I think, cheaper options for place differential, and that's the way we're going to be playing it here today.
I like it. And yes, this is going to be a racetrack, and I wonder if it's because of the car. It just hasn't had the same buzz as, other years' Stats, right? Like it doesn't feel like it's like the Brickyard 400. It's an elite race. It's a crown jewel and stuff. But it really just, I don't know. It's kind of fallen a little bit flat this year. I know that I certainly haven't been just like buzzing for this race, but also I thought the Xfinity race was pretty good yesterday, but there wasn't a ton of movement into the lead until the late cautions started to come out. I'm not expecting much passing today. I know we're going to be playing some PD guys because look at who's starting like last. It's like Denny Hamlin starting 39th, and Chase Elliott starting 30th. You got Blaney, Larson, Bell, all starting further back than their car can kind of move up, right? So it's like, yeah, I mean, you got a lot of PD, but it's not going to be a race where if you did play PD, you want to check midway through. You're going to want to check at the end because these guys are going to have all this time to kind of move through the pack. You know how it is if you're only up 5 spots at a time, but it's not going to be anywhere like Denny Hamlin's going to be 10th at the end of stage 1. He might be lucky to be like 21st or something. So yeah, you got a lot of, maybe if we get a green flag run, you could see some late runs develop a little bit, because I know Fuel Podcast tweeted that it's like 38 to 43. So they won't be able to go the full first stage if it went completely green. Who knows if it will? So you may see some active pit stops that can kind of shake up the order. But overall stats, let's go ahead and dive into these studs. I mean, can't really start anywhere else other than Denny Hamlin. Top the practice sheet in terms of individual lap time. Very quick here. Had an issue in qualifying. Didn't he wrecked out in qualifying?
He did, yeah.
Yeah, like that's why he's starting last. So he's on this type of track where we always talk about, can you lock a guy? In 20 max, like I would almost be tempted to lock Denny Hamlin. And hell, like you said, Briscoe could lead stage 1. Who says he can't lead stage 2? But you don't really need a ton of DOMs, right? It's not like you're losing a lot of DOM upside if you're just going to lock in a guy like Denny. But you also have some comparable plays, like Chase Elliott's not too far off the pack there. Not too far off Hamlin, starting 30th. Blaney as well. Like, what are you doing with those 3 guys in particular?
Yeah, I mean, you had Denny was the favorite coming in before qualifying. So, I mean, obviously, this is this is a driver who we're expecting to do really well. Starting 39th, I think he winds up being the highest owned driver on this slate. I agree with you. I mean, if you're looking to lock a driver in, I think, the only problem is it's an 11K guy, right? So that's your only problem. But I think he's probably the safest. He's probably got the highest floor here. He's certainly a cash game. He's going to be a cash game option. But I think if you're going to lock one driver, I think it's got to be Denny. Has historically just been pretty good here. So I do like Denny, quite a bit. So you look back, I mean, just look at what he's done on the large tracks recently. Second at Pocono, had a first place at Michigan, and Nashville third. So, and I think, so I'm on the small screen here, so I got to go check my numbers, and it takes me a little second to scroll around. But I believe he had the highest driver rating. Yeah, he does. The highest driver rating by far for the 2000 in this season's on the large track. So I think Denny is probably the strongest play on the entire board. You mentioned Chase Elliott. He's the other option over 10K that's really got the best place differential. He starts 30th. I think he'll be second. He'll be just not just under, but he will be under the ownership, I think, of a Denny Hamlin. You look at what he's done this year, not quite as successful as Denny's been, but he was 5th over in Pocono, and I think a 5th place finish here is certainly going to get the job done in getting him in the winning lineup. You look at his driver rating; it's one of the better ones. I think he's 4th overall driver rating on the large tracks this season. So I do like some Chase Elliott as well. And then Blaney, Blaney, he has not had as much success here. He is the worst driver in this range, driver rating wise, at the large tracks. He's starting 24th. Another guy, we're getting pretty good place differential. He's certainly going to get some ownership. The practices, you got to take the practice with a grain of salt, but he was not really good in practice here. So of those 3, I think it's Denny, Elliott just below that, and Blaney I'm just not as high on. Although he was really strong at Pocono and did win the race at Nashville. In between there, the Michigan race did not go all that well. He did not do well at Charlotte either. So it's kind of been hit or miss. It's been every other, and maybe this will be the other. So he kind of, he did not, I don't think he finished at Charlotte, then won at Nashville. Michigan finishes 32nd, and then 3rd place in Pocono. Maybe we're looking at another 30-plus finish for Blaney. So it's kind of been hit and miss for him this year.
It's kind of funny. They come out with pricing way before qualifying and stuff, and it turns out to be a really good price. A really well done job by DraftKings. Because you got Chase Elliott starting 30th, 10K, Hamlin starting last, 11K, and then Blaney being 24th at 10.7. Kind of, I think they did a good job with not knowing what was going to happen with Larson. Even like those top PD plays are the most expensive, and if you do want to get like a little bit different, like it's going to take a guy like Briscoe who he's been knocking on that door. I mean, he already, blew down the door when he got the win earlier in the season, but the last few weeks have been really impressive for Chase Briscoe. I'm going to have to set the stage here because what do you need from Briscoe to feel like, okay, I got the optimal? Is it lead stage 1 and get a top 5 finish? Is that the bar for Briscoe here to kind of clear? And that seems very achievable for him. I mean, his odds kind of indicate he's top 5, what is it, 5th in odds, right? So you got Larson, you got Hamlin, Blaney's tied with them, and then Byron. So then it would be Briscoe. That seems like the bar, and honestly, like the more I look, the more realistic it is. It's really easy to kind of go in and just jam in PD. That my main team, especially in cash games when I'm going to enter in some head-to-heads and stuff, no one's going to be starting worse than 21st. But for tournament upside, I mean, Briscoe, is he your top guy outside that top 3 then?
It's going to be close. Yeah, he's going to be close to being the top guy outside of there. I think he's almost a lock, as I mentioned earlier. I mean, you start on the pole here, it's almost a guarantee you are going to win that stage 1. So give him all those stage 1 points. They have set this car up also for clean air, knowing that he is going to be out there at least at the start of this race. So he should lead the first 50 laps, get that first stage, and I think he's got a legitimate shot here to win this race as well. So I think he'll get even more than just the 50 laps led. And I think a top 5 finish, while it's not a lock, I think is very, very realistic. So it's a big difference here between starting 1 or 2. And I do like Chase Briscoe. And look, he's coming into his own on these type of tracks. I mean, if you look, I believe he won, right? Yeah, he won the last one over at Pocono. So before that, not quite as good, but Charlotte had a 3rd place finish. So certainly capable. He is the 3rd, I believe he has the 3rd best driver rating this season on these large tracks. So I expect Chase Briscoe to be one of the better plays here and to really perform well. I think a top 5 finish is extremely realistic. You add those Dom points in, I think we could see Briscoe in the winner here today.
Perfect. I'm kind of with you. I'm kind of trying to get over that mental hurdle of like, look, he has a floor that, obviously anyone who finishes like 20th or worse today is not going to be making the optimal. But it's like in that main lineup, like especially in like single entry and stuff. It's not like pole has been just like incredibly popular at times. Like there has been times where pole has kind of been sitting at like 16, 18% range. I think he kind of clips that. I think it's going to be, if I had to put a number on it, I would guess 25. I think that would be a safe number. I think that's like kind of in the ballpark of where I'd want to be. I think I might be over on him too, just because you look at, every single race that we have, right? I just want people to kind of like get into this mindset. We always complain about the cars not being able to pass each other. Play the guy on pole more. Like that's the one thing I kind of want to take away is like play the guy on pole. Leads 50 laps. All of a sudden, he's got 45 fantasy points, 50 fantasy points. Where even if you finish 10th, he's okay. I might do that. I mean, to round out the rest of this kind of range, just kind of sum it all up. Like my rankings, Hamlin, Elliott, Blaney, Briscoe, and then it would be Larson. Then I think I would throw in Bell, and then Byron, and I don't think I would touch Reddick, Buescher, Gibbs here today. I just don't, or even Logano. Like I'm not a huge Logano guy, but 15th he can make the ballpark for sure. He'd be kind of like the last guy in. Anyone else that you wanted to talk about in this range before moving on to the mid tier?
Yeah, no, I mean that's about it. Yeah, I would just switch because I think you like Blaney just a little bit more than I do. I would kind of switch Blaney and Briscoe on my rankings there. But you get another guy, Byron starting 6th. I think. Again, I don't think he's going to be able to get there in stage 1, but I do think he has a shot here to get some Dom points. Certainly not going to be as high owned as the other guys that we just spoke of. But I think maybe of those starting, top 7, 8, I would give Byron probably the best shot, maybe to get some down points, maybe in stage 2 and beyond, and possibly contend to win this race. So I would give a look towards Byron, but I kind of like your rankings. I would just kind of flip. I would flip Briscoe. I've got a lot of confidence here in Briscoe. I don't, look, Blaney's been good all year. Outside of when he's run into a lot of issues, but he's had one of the fastest cars all year. So certainly starting at that 24th position, we could see a strong finish from Blaney. But I just think I just love how the poll plays out here, and so I do like Briscoe.
Yeah, 100%. And then we also have the $1 million challenge, right? With Ty Dillon. That's a funny comment.
The ties.
Yeah, the ties. So I don't think that does anything for me with Ty Gibbs. Right?
I actually think it makes it worse. Yeah. Right? Because they're going to be playing for that. Yep. Especially Ty Gibbs, who starts 9th. I think he's unplayable in this. Is it 9th? Is he starting 9th? I'm going up top. I'm sorry, it's 5th, which is even worse. He's just not playable there. He is not going to be neither one of these guys. I mean, not that Ty Dillon we would expect to win the race. Ty Gibbs will not even be trying to win this race. He's just going to be trying to beat Ty Dillon. So I think it makes certainly Gibbs unplayable, and maybe for me it detracts a little bit from Ty Dillon, but Ty Dillon does start a little further back. But both of those guys are kind of out for me.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you there. I don't want to mess with Ty Gibbs. You're exactly right. Like if he's running 12th and Ty Dillon's like 25th, and there's 15 to go, he's going to take care of that car. Just bring.
Oh yeah, cannot wreck out for the $1 million.
Oh yeah, especially
it'd be cool if they're near each other. That would be a lot of fun if they could. If they're running 10th and 11th. Coming down the last 15, 20 laps, that'll be a lot of fun.
That's what Ty Dillon did last week into the turn, right? Wasn't it? He ended up kind of pushing. Was it Bowman he was going against? He pushed Bowman up the racetrack or whatever. I'm trying to think. I could be misremembering it, but
I can't remember.
It could have been. No, it was a road course 2 weeks ago. Walking. It was a Sonoma. Yeah, I'm getting all my races.
Yeah, I know we're getting them all mixed up. I believe. Yeah, I think it was Sonoma was a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, I remember he punted Bowman a little bit. I think up into the final turn, and then ended up making the pass. So it's a big deal for Ty Dillon, but he's going to have an uphill battle today. Stats, PD galore down here. I mean, you got Ross Chastain starting 33rd. You got Alex Bowman starting 21st. You got Ryan Preece starting 23rd. Daniel Suarez 31st. Then Michael McDowell starting 22nd. Those would be your main guys starting 20th and back, and the only guys starting 20th and back. Let's go ahead and just kind of get into the crossing off of guys, right? Like I just want people to kind of realize, you can cross off Shane Van Gisbergen. You can cross off even a guy like Hocevar today. I'm not going to have a ton of interest in him starting 8th. And Bubba Wallace, if I'm going to be high on Briscoe, I don't want to be high on both. I don't want to split. I don't want to just kind of put, I'd rather have 40% of one than 20% of each. And I think I'm going to kind of put my eggs in the basket of Chase Briscoe. And Bubba Wallace has failed a bunch of times, and I know that he is much cheaper at 7,700, but he could be a guy I probably cross out. Austin Cindric, I'm probably going to cross out. Dinger would kind of be on the fringe. I think I'm going to cross out as well. And what it kind of leaves me here, Stats, is very heavy on Chastain, very heavy on a Bowman, and then kind of mixing it up after that. I mean, McDowell is going to be a great value at 6,500. And by great, I mean, he's going to be good here. I think that's a very fine click as a last piece. I think Daniel Suarez is in that same range where I'm not expecting them, to come out and get a top 15. Well, maybe in McDowell's case, he kind of has an opening for it. But like Suarez's case, give me 20th and I'll be happy. But I think Preece, he's going to be a guy where he kind of thrives at these flatter, where it's not exactly flat here, but kind of just flat out. You don't really have to be too much onto the brakes at all. And I just kind of see this team having success today as well. I mean, you just look at everything that he's done in the history where Ryan Preece has been. You look at his recent history at the tracks that you were comparing, like Pocono and stuff, where he got 8th. I'm kind of talking myself into him potentially at 7,300, but it would be after I plug in Chastain and Bowman here. What are you doing with the mid-tier?
Yeah, I mean, I think you nailed it pretty good. The one good thing with this race is I think we do have a lot of guys that we could kind of eliminate from our pool And you named a lot of those guys. So really a lot of the guys starting close to the front. Talked about Ty Gibbs going for that $1 million. You can definitely get rid of him. But Bubba Wallace now. Bubba's been really, really good. He's got one of the better driver ratings on these type of tracks. Also, just at Indy, this has been a great track for him. I think the problem is just that starting position of 2. I think Bubba winds up getting, you're going to want to get under. I think people will own Bubba just for the fact that he has such good history here. So I'd be looking to short him. I think Suarez is another one. Starts 31st. It's great place differential. He's got a really good, pretty good in the next gen cars on these large tracks. Has not necessarily been good this season. And when you look at, we've talked about this, he's kind of a lame duck driver here. Won't be with the team next year. He's probably not getting as much attention in the garage from track houses, maybe the rest of the team at Chastain, let's say. So I think he's going to be fairly high owned. I think it'll be maybe, anywhere from 25 to 35% owned because of the price and the fact that he starts 31st. I think we want to get under on Suarez. So we'll see, just how that plays out for us. But of the high owned guys, I think he's one that I would look to as a bit of a fade play. Not a total fade in 150, but I would definitely want to get under the market. Chastain is probably in this range going to be the highest. I think Chastain winds up getting close to Denny Hamlin type ownership. So I think he's another one of these guys who's going to be 40+%, maybe even pushing 50%, starts 33rd. He's been okay on the large tracks this year. In this range, he's not, not the worst, but not the best. The guys who have the best driver rating in this range, a couple of them, like I mentioned, is Bubba Wallace and Hocevar, and we don't want to touch Hocevar starting 8th. And who knows, just always a high risk of not even finishing the race, wrecking out. The other guy who rates really well this season on these large tracks is Alex Bowman, start 21st, kind of an in-between start, not quite as far back to make him kind of one of these place differential darlings. But I think Bowman is someone you got to look at. Might be slightly under-owned for how well he's run on these large tracks this year. Had an 11th place finish in Pocono. He's had some really bad ones mixed in there as well, just not good at Michigan, Nashville, or Charlotte. So I think, that does come with a little bit of risk, but I would want to be a little over the market, I think, on Bowman in this range.
Yeah, I like it. I'm very high on Bowman again. It was something that, the recent years I haven't been too high on him, but he's been absolutely kind of crushing, and someone that I'm going to be well over the field on. Chastain, it's kind of like one of those things where you're kind of playing him for the starting position, and that's like about it, right? Like you look at his odds. I mean, what is he, 90-1, plus 9,000? Not great, right? Like that's just the one thing that kind of pops off the page. If you could fade someone who is starting in the back of the pack, do you think you would rather fade Chastain over Bowman?
Probably not. Okay. I think, I'd have a hard time fading Chastain. Like Bowman comes with a little bit more risk. I think that place, that 12 position differential on starting position, I think is a big deal. But like I said, Chastain has not been as good on the large tracks, maybe as Bowman has been this season. But we've got a couple of top 10s and a first place finish for Chastain at Charlotte. So it's kind of been a little hit or miss with him as well. I just have a lot more confidence that we'll see Chastain get down to either in the top 10 or close to it, which should be enough at 8,300 to get him into the winner. So I do believe in him a little bit more than Bowman. I think Bowman's going to have to do just a little bit better than that, certainly capable of it, and I do like him. But if you're going to ask me to choose between the two, it's going to be Chastain.
I was trying to play devil's advocate because, like, it's a chalky slate, like, kind of in this range, right? So, like, if you were to make it like a case, like, I don't know, like, did you talk about like Keselowski potentially? I'm just trying to create talking points. But we're going to go to the values in a second, but like, I'm going to give you like two drivers here, like Keselowski and McDowell specifically, like, ends of the spectrum, 8,400, 6,500. So your mid tier, they're kind of on each end. What's your like kind of take on them? Or is Keselowski a guy you're even looking at? I mean, 12-1 odds is pretty good. He would need a top 9, top 8 to be optimal. I don't think a 10th place finish would be good enough. I mean, it would kind of be on the fringe, like 40 points, but if you got like 44, 45 range, you would be kind of looking good. Then McDowell's case too. I mean, he's got good cars starting behind him. We know that. We're already playing the cars starting behind him. Can he move up another 7 spots to potentially be optimal?
Yeah, I think with Keselowski, I like Keselowski here. It's just you'd love to get a little bit better start position than 14th, but I don't think you want to throw Keselowski out of your player pool here. I think absolutely. I think all the RFK cars I think you're going to want in the pool. I think Keselowski would have been the best option. I think he's the best option at RFK as far as just potential where he's going to finish in this race. It's just for DFS purposes. We're going to be a little bit under him as opposed to a Ryan Preece who gets the 23rd starting position. So I think all the RFK cars are going to be in play here. And like I said, I would not be shocked if Keselowski gets a top 5, and that very well may do it. But I just think a lot more good things are going to happen for Keselowski than Preece. But if you want to take a shot on someone who's going to be fairly low owned, I don't think he's a terrible option with how well he's run. You look in this range, he's right up there with those other guys that I mentioned, and Bubba, Hocevar, and Bowman as far as their driver ratings this season on these large tracks. He's been right up there with those guys. So I do not fade the RFK cars. I don't think this week.
Yep, I am with you there. And Jake, I do think that that's a decent starting point. You get a little bit different with the PD of +1 Dom. Values, it's an okay range. Nemechek looked good in practice. I mean, that's the one thing that I think a lot of people are going to kind of gravitate toward. What was that, Legacy Motorsports? So it's like, yeah, I think he'll be one of the more popular clicks down here. You got Zane Smith as well, starting 27th, Ricky Stenhouse 32nd, Ty Dillon, a part of the $1 Million Challenge, a little high at 26, Justin Haley, and then I would say maybe if you were really wanting the dumpster dive, you could get into Herbst or a Custer. It's kind of gross down here once you get below Stenhouse and Dillon specifically. But I mean, you still got some decent options, right?
You do, and I think JHN here, Nemechek is probably the best option. He was really fastest car in practice. Again, we want to be careful waiting too much on this practice. They only practiced for 20 minutes, but he had one of the better cars. As a matter of fact, I think Legacy has done really well here. They've had great speed at the large tracks. So I do like Nemechek quite a bit. He is going to be owned. He starts back 36th, because he just did not qualify all that well. I believe he hit the wall during the qualifying. So he's another one who's going to be starting way back, further back than what he should have. So I think we can take advantage of that. A lot of people are going to have him. He's going to be one of the chalkier plays. He'll be, of course, a strong cash play at that start position, and it works out nicely with some of these higher price guys that we have up there. One of the other big ones, I think you mentioned it, was Stenhouse. Now Stenhouse is going to start 32nd. Again, really good place differential play, only 5,700. So I like that. He will be, probably 25, 30% owned. He ran well here last year. He was running in the top 10 for most of the race. So I think Stenhouse is a strong play as well. Will be less owned, I think, than Nemechek. And maybe if you're choosing between the two and you want to get a little bit different than maybe the rest of the market, you could do worse than flipping over and playing Stenhouse instead of Nemechek.
So I would play, like, just a quick question here is, you got your chalk options, right? Nemechek, Stenhouse, those are the two best. Zane Smith, I think, would be the third best. And then it kind of dips off. If you were to have, I know we're going to do our sub 20% play of the day here very shortly as well. But who's a guy down here in this range who you don't think is going to get any ownership really at all, but could kind of beat out one of those guys or potentially make the optimal? Do you have to dip below Stenhouse and maybe, there's not much attrition here, right? It's not going to be a wreck fest or anything like that, but it's like, could you open the door for a guy like Custer or Jesse Love? Where does that salary have to matter for them to be optimal over them at that point? And that's what you're hoping for, is that 500 in salary got you from, instead of a 7,800 option. And who's 70 or 7,700 option of Bubba, you were able to get Ross Chastain, right? Is that the only hope for someone below, like a guy like Stenhouse, to kind of be in the optimal?
Probably, yeah. I mean, we're talking about the guys who, not Stenhouse. I think I think it's a little bit different with with Stenhouse, just because of the huge place differential that we have with him. But if you want to look for someone, I think you were asking, Zane Smith would be that third guy, not going to nearly be high as owned. So I do like him. He's got solid, place differential starting 27th. It gets really tough. I mean, if you're going to ask me to like pick one of these other guys that are, let's say, sub 6,500, man, it gets really thin. Like you've got Eric Jones, who's had great speed on these type of tracks, but you can't really play him starting third. I mean, they're dead. That second row is absolutely dead. So you got to throw him out. You can't play him. If you're going to look for someone outside of the chalkier plays down here, it's going to have to be a place differential play. I think maybe a Cole Custer would be that guy. He ran okay at Michigan. Sometimes when you get down to these drags at certain tracks, it's just kind of luck boxing where, like, the guy just moves up 5 spots and everything. It's really what happens at the high end is going to determine if that guy is even going to be in the optimal. So, but really, you've got just a lot of the Leg and Bilicki and Ware down here. I just think they're going to be laps down at some point. Herbst just qualified. I think 25th is just qualifying a little too high. So I think Custer, you could go ahead and make a case for it, will not be high owned. But Jesse Love, I don't like, starts 35th, but still just not enough speed. Gilliland, 19th, started too high. Haley, I think you can maybe make a case for a Haley down here as well, 28th starting position. But yeah, it's pretty limited when you get outside of Stenhouse. A lot of people are going to like Ty Dillon, so I'd be cautious with Ty Dillon for the reason that I mentioned. But a lot of people are going to like Ty Dillon because he's going for that millie. And I'd be worried about him. 26th starting position. He could, of course, could potentially do well here, but I think he's going to be a little overplayed in the market for that, because people know he's going to be going for that. And I think people are going to look at that like, well, he's racing for a lot here today.
You gotta hope he's like cheating. Yeah. At the end of the day, that's what you got to be hoping for.
Yeah.
How many times have we played him where he's been under 10% and he's been starting like 32nd or 31st or 28th, right? Like, I don't think he's going to be too high on stats, but I do think, like, a lot of people, he might get up to like 15% or whatever. And it's like, you don't got to play him just to play him. Like, play him at next slate when, all the buzz is down. He's like 8% or whatever. And that's just assuming that this buzz does happen. But I've seen a lot about the tournament this week, the $1 million going to the team and not the driver. It'll be fun. And Jake, this is a good point too. I mean, maybe starting 26 keeps it in check. The 33rd in Pocono is like one of those glaring things, right? Because that's like the most recent kind of like test. Is he's got some other good finishes. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, we saw earlier in the season, but it's just like he's been kind of running soap here for this $1 million. Like, it just wouldn't shock me if Ty Gibbs wrecks out early or something. But it'll be an interesting race here.
Well, but you make a good point there. What if Ty Gibbs does wreck out? Then he's just running laps at that point.
Sunday drive.
Sunday
drive, baby.
I
want him to win the million. I do, because he was the 32nd seed, and I thought it was a joke that they had 4 races of seeding and then just use a point system or whatever, which was the most stupid thing in the world. I thought. I genuinely thought, like, you have a point system to begin with. Why don't you just use that as the bracket? But no, they had to go and make it way more complicated. Van Gisbergen wins half the races.
Yeah, they kind of did it at a bad time of the year. The races that he's going to win. Like, for something like that, I would try to eliminate road courses. I don't know why they even had them in the, let's just run on ovals, man.
Don't do 3 freaking road courses.
No, that's silly.
I love road courses. Don't get me wrong, but like, damn, like, they kind of screwed half the field. That's for sure. Stats. Let's go ahead and get into our driver of the day. I got the SaberSim ownership up, so if you don't have it up, I can tell you if someone's going to be below 20. I'll give you a hint. If they're starting 20th, they're back and they're a decent driver, they're above 20%. The only one above 20% projected right now that's starting inside the top 10 is Chase Briscoe. I will say this, just off the rip, Keselowski, Priest, Bell are all projected under 20% just for reference. Who is your driver of the day? Sub 20%. I'll go Stenhouse.
Yeah, you do.
Right.
You give me yours, because I'm going to bring up Sabre while you're doing that and see if this way I can run down the list here and see what we got.
I like it. Nemechek is projected as the highest owned, which I think 80% is a little extreme, Sabre, but I do think that he'll be. I think 40% could be a good ballpark for him. Maybe 35. And then I'm looking at just talking through the slate, but like Stenhouse won't be like 8% owned. I think he'll be like 20%. So I'm not going to go either of those two guys. One guy I did kind of want to check the box on. I think he kind of eclipses the 20%, but he is projected under 20% right now. Ryan Preece, what he did in Pocono, if I can get like another top 10 finish here, it could be something where it just goes a long way, right? And like I really like Bowman, and he's a very comparable play to Bowman for $700 cheaper. Bowman does have a little bit more upside, in my opinion. But if you were to get like you could even stack them in the same lineup. But if you were to get like a top 10 from Bowman, then like 11th place from Priest, you'd be looking very pretty at 7,300 there, starting 23rd, and then 8K starting 21st. It's kind of a combo because Bowman was projected above 20%, but Priest would be my driver of the day under 20%.
Yeah, I mean, I actually think so. I think Priest is going to come in over that.
I think so too. That's kind of why I did the combo. I think they both will be just a hair over, but I didn't have too many options that I really like below.
No, I don't. There's not a ton that I like because it is kind of chalky. Yeah. But I agree. I would say Bowman would be the guy for me, and I think Bowman's actually close. So I think Priest winds up higher owned, even though Sabre's got it flipped here. I think Priest winds up higher owned just with the cheaper price two better spots here from place to. I think Bowman will be close to that 20% number. Yeah. I think their numbers are actually pretty good, the 19-20%.
That's kind of why I wanted to do both. But it's because like I really wanted Bowman, but our rules, so it's like he was like 20.4 or whatever. Mm-hmm. I'm like I'll do a combo, and it was a shorter show, so people deserve an extra combo.
They do. Yeah, they do. It's tough to find like on Sabre, man. It's really tough. I would say I'll give you the one outside shot. The guy who I'm confident will be under 20 at least, who I did mention, I think has some. I don't love it, but I think Keselowski has a shot here from the 14th spot. So I do like Bowman a little bit more, but I think there's a good chance he's over 20. I don't think Keselowski comes in over 20. And of these guys, I mean, you've got some really bad drivers under 20% in here. So I think I'll go with a bit of a long shot. I'm going to take Keselowski as my sub 20% driver of the day.
I love it. I love it for Stats and I. Go ahead and enjoy your Sunday. Tons of sports on tap. And then I forgot to even mention it, Stats. Preseason football is Thursday. We're going to have full projections, playbook cores, everything else that you can ask for starting this Thursday. I know that the projections I've been already grinding on them a ton. And I will say that if you are interested in preseason football, you'll get my best effort. And hopefully we can repeat that Summer League success where we had a lot of shippers during the Summer League, hoping to keep that same momentum into the preseason football. Again, wouldn't shock me to see 50K up top for the Hall of Fame game. I kind of forget what previous years were, but yeah, should be a good time. Preseason football ahead of us. And just a small taste of football is never a bad taste at all. For Stats and I, have a great rest of your day, and bye-bye.